In this lesson, we'll be looking at ratios and proportions, part 2 with their applications. You'll be able to use cross multiplication to solve problems with proportional relationships. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers using division. Now we look at a ratio, we can see like words per minute, a ratio or a rate. It's words divided by minutes. A proportion is when two ratios or two fractions are equal. I want you to think of a ratio as a fraction, and proportion is when two of them are equal. So we could have a proportion like this: 15 words per 1 minute equals 30 words every 2 minutes. These are equal proportions. Now here's where we come to the cross product property. If two ratios are equal, then the cross products will be equal. In other words, it says if A over B equals C over D, then the two cross products. Cross product is taking like the top of this one times the bottom of that one. A times D, which they put right here, AD, will equal the other cross product, which is the C times B or B times C. Okay, if these two fractions are equal, then these two cross products will be equal, and we use that to solve proportions, as you'll see coming up next. Determine whether each pair of ratios forms a proportion. If it's a proportion, then this one will equal that one. So we set up a equation that says that if this is really a proportion, then this one should equal this one. Well, how do we check and see if they're equal? Well, we do their cross products is one way. So the 4 times 16, this cross product, should equal the other cross product, which is 6 times 12. So if we multiply them out, we see that they are not equal. This is 6 side 64, this side 72. So is it a proportion? No, it's not a proportion. The cross products are not equal. Go ahead and try this one on your own. And you may pause it for a second and I'll tell you the answer in a minute. You check. Okay, hopefully you pause for a second. So the only thing you need to do is check and see if their cross products are equal. So 3 times 10 is 30. The other cross product is the 5 times the 6 or 6 times 5, and yes, that's 30. This is a proportion. 3/5 does equal 6/10. Now this is just stating when you have a negative fraction, the negative's out in front, you can associate it with the top or the bottom. These are all equal. Negative 3/7 means either negative 3 divided by 7 or 3 divided by negative 7. You'll see how that works in the next problems. So now we're going to solve these proportions. We're going to solve for the missing x here by using that cross product property. So here's that negative thing. I'm going to associate the negative with the top number. Yes, I did. So it's like we've got negative 3 over 7. So the first step is to do the cross products. This cross product with the negative. So I've got negative 3 times 14. I'll use the negative up there. Has to equal the other cross product, which is 7 times x. So if we multiply that out, negative 3 times 14 is negative 42. And 7 times x is just 7x. And to solve this, since this is multiplication, we'll divide by 7 both sides. That'll cancel out that over there. Whoops. And we'll get 1x equals negative 42 divided by 7 is negative 6. So just using the cross products as our first step to solve a proportion always. So the quick check, why don't you pause the video and see if you can do it, and then check your answer, turn it back on and check your answer in a minute. Well, hopefully you tried it on your own. That's the best practice. All right, I'll do it now too. Let's see my cross product. I got the -5. I'll associate that negative with the top. -5 times 24. The other cross product, it should equal the other cross product, which is 8 times x. So we multiply this out. We get -120 equals 8x. And then it's time to divide, since that multiplication there. Divide by 8 and we get x equals -15. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Now here we get into something different when we have more than one thing on top or bottom. What do? Well, we're still starting with that first step, the cross product. So to multiply this 4 times this whole thing, we put this whole expression in parentheses. It looks something like this. 4 times all of this stuff, x minus 9. Going to equal our other cross product, which is 16 times x. So this, we use what's called the distributive property. It's 4 times both of these things. So I like putting these little loops. 4 times the x, which is 4x. And then the 4 times the, take this sign in here, -9, which gives us -36 or -36. Okay, 4 times x, 4x, 4 times the -9, -36. Of course, 16 times x is just 16x. Now, whenever I have the variable on both sides, I'm going to get rid of it on one side or the other. So I think I'll get all my x's over here and get rid of these. So I subtract 4x from both sides. That gets rid of the x's on this side, and they're only over here. So we get -36 equals 16 minus 4x is 12x. Now the last step is just to divide by 12. And we get x equals -3. Okay, so the only thing different was here, when we had more than one term here, we got to put those in parentheses and use the distributive property. Go ahead and try this quick check here, or this example C. Maybe pause it, see if you can do it on your own, and then check the answer. Okay, hopefully you paused it and tried it. Let's take a look at it now, this cross product. 3 times this expression, x plus 6, should be written with parentheses around the x plus 6, equals the other cross product, the x times the 5, or 5 times the x. Let's use the distributive property here. Take the 3 times the x, which is 3x, then the 3 times the positive 6 is positive 18. So we get 3x plus 18 over here. 5 times x, 5x. Again, we have x's on both sides. I'm going to get rid of them over here by subtracting the 3x. So these go away. We're left with 18 on this side and 5 minus 3, 2x's over there. Last step, divide by 2. And we get x equals 9. Not too bad. In all of these, if you want to pause them and try and work them out, that would be good. Check your answer as I go through it. Okay, let's take a look at the answer here. Here this time we've got 2 of them with 2 terms. So I'll start with this one, 4 times the x minus 2, this cross product. Write it with the parentheses around the double thing. The other one is 2 times that quantity x plus 6. So we'll put parentheses around our x plus 6 and use the distributive property twice. On this side, we got 4x, and then 4 times a minus 2 makes -8. Well, 4x minus 8. The second one, 2x. And then the 2 times the plus 6 makes, multiply times both of them, 12. Now again, we got x's on both sides. This time I'm going to get rid of this one, the 2x. I usually get rid of the smaller ones. So minus 2x and minus 2x. These x's go away over here. We're just left with 12. Over here we got 4 minus 2x is 2x. Bring down the minus 8, and the only thing we got on this side is the 12. So we're looking at getting x by itself. I'll get rid of the subtraction first with addition. The minus 8 and the plus 8 cancel out over here, leaves us with the 2x on this side, and then 12 plus 8 gives us 20. Then we'll divide by 2 and get x equals 10. And all these you can pause if you're going too fast, of course. Copy them down. Call me over if you got any questions. Try that one on your own, then check out the answer. Okay, hopefully you paused it and tried it on your own. What we got here? This cross product, 8 times the x minus 5 equals the other cross product, 7 times the x plus 2. Distributive property, 8 times x is 8x, and then times the minus 5 is minus 40, so we get 8x minus 40. We have 7x, 7 times x, 7x, 7 times the positive 2, 14 plus 14, so we got 7x plus 14 here. Distributive property, it helps to circle these cross products sometimes. Draw the little loops to remind yourself to multiply times each of those terms inside of there. So let's see, I'm going to get rid of x's on this side by subtracting 7x. So 8 minus 7x leaves us with 1x, and the minus 40 comes down. These x's go away, we bring down our 14. Let's get rid of this minus 14 now, with minus 40 with plus 40. So the 40s cancel out, we're left with x, what we're solving for, equals 14 plus 40 is 54. Now I'm going to have you do, it's not all of the lesson, that's part 1 of the lesson, but I'm going to have you do the first set of practice problems, just solving proportions, and then we'll look at word problems later.